this is Big Red Truck doing a overlay video. I'm going to sit there and talking to y'all today about some of the mega carriers out here. Alright, so here's what I'm going to go into. Here's the topics we're going to go into. What to expect when working for a mega carrier, and how to deal with the problems of working for a mega carrier. Alright, pretty good topic to talk about. A lot of people want to hear it, so I'm going to sit there and bring it to y'all. Be sure to stay tuned because I got a little story for you at the end of this video. Alright, so the mega carriers, what they are is they were smaller companies usually that expanded slowly or very quickly and became really big companies and took out the little guys. Swift, Prime, CR England, Dart, Knight Transportation, but they combined with Swift. Those are your, plus some others, those are the mega carriers. They're usually over 2,500 trucks, if not more or less. And what their main priority is to rack up as much money in a short amount of time as possible. So what they do is they'll hire on anybody who can sit there and get a CDL. Whether they're immigrants, which immigrants, they're, everybody. People with bad driving records, it doesn't matter. Because their whole objective as a mega carrier is to put out quantity instead of quality. They would rather put as many people in trucks and ship them across the country delivering loads as possible to lower their prices and knock out the little guys. That's also where the size matters type issue comes into effect. Alright, here's the thing. This happened before my time. And what it is when a mega carriers come into these thing and offered to ship their products, ship other shippers' products a lot cheaper than the other guys, the owner-operators and the smaller companies. They pretty much take a loss on this. They'll ship really cheap so that they make sure that they have business. But how they make their money is they'll ship out a shit ton of trucks at once, and that's how they make their money. So that's where you get these mega carriers. That's how they survive. They kind of take a gamble pretty much, but again, in some cases it works for them. All right. So how to survive in working for these mega carriers? Well, first off, their whole objective is to ship products. They're not in it for you. They don't. Usually, you're just a number on a chalkboard for them. Most of the time, the owners don't even know your name, don't even know who you are, they don't even realize you even work for them. Besides, they shine a paycheck to you. All right. So, how to deal with this? When you're first starting out, you kind of have to go to these mega carriers because that's where you got to get your experience. Sometimes you can be lucky and get with these mom and pop shops right off the bat, but usually that doesn't happen. So here's the thing you got to worry about. You're not going to make a ton of money with a mega carrier. You might, depending on who you're working for, but usually 9 out of 10 times you will not make a lot of money with a mega carrier. So you've got to account for that. So the only way, and you're also having to fight these logs, these e-logs. So I'm going to tell you how to do this. You can't do it with speed because most of the time the mega carriers put governors on your truck, so you can't beat it with speed. Most of the time the truck doesn't even go to speed limit. You're usually governed between 61 to 67 usually. So the only way to do it is to run your ass off. And that's the worst part, that you actually have to do that to even make a living. Because if you don't, you're going to expect $100 paychecks, shit like that. So you got to knock out as many miles in a short amount of time as possible. That's how you make it. With a truck, I'll put an instance here. With a truck governed at 64 mile an hour, you can only run in a 10-hour period 640 miles. Now you have 11 hours of drive time, but you've got to take into consideration your pre-trip, your post-trip, and those 30-minute breaks you have to hit. Some carriers require 30-minute breaks in an 11-hour period. Some of them require one. It just depends on what carrier you're with and how it's set up. The carrier I'm with requires 2 30-minute breaks in an 11-hour period. So that's an hour gone. That's an hour off your 11 hours. Just done. All right? You got to set it to off duty, so it's actually an hour off your 14 hours. So now you have 13 hours to drive 11 hours. All right? Now you got 2 15-minute pre-trip and post-trip. There's 30 minutes. So now that's an hour and a half gone. So that's an hour and a half taking off 14 hours. Alright? Now include fueling. Expect 15 minutes for fueling. See where this is going? So, in order to get a perfect running day, which very, very, very ever seldom happens to get 640 miles to drive, that very seldom ever happens, you're kind of stuck in a predicament. So how do you get away from this? Well, you kind of can't, unless you trip plan ahead of time and figure out routes that would not deter you the most amount of way. They would not bring you farther out of your route than you need to go, but you can avoid a lot of road construction or wrecks or anything like that, which you can't really help wrecks. But you can somehow steer away from a lot of road construction. Alright? So that's how you beat that's how you beat it. You plan ahead of time to figure out the best alternative route that'll get you from point A to point B without slowing you down a lot. That's how you beat it. Little food for the thought, Big Red over here. Now, I promised y'all a story. And y'all are gonna love this story because it's funny. So, I'm gonna tell you this story. I've got a buddy at home that is a little messed up. He's a little weird. I ain't gonna give out no names, because if I gave out names, I'd be giving out his identity, and I'm not a person like that. But one day, this buddy. Now, if you don't like stupid stories that aren't really, converted trucking and they're a little weird and inappropriate, then you might just want to tune off now. But be sure to like, comment, subscribe. But this guy decided to take me and my buddy on a road trip. So we were like, all right, let's do it. Well, he said, Bubba, we got a great place to go to with a lot of women. We were like, all right, cool, whatever. So he takes us out in the middle of BFE and pulls into a rest home, a nursing home. We were like, why are we here? You got to visit your grandmother or something? He's like, no, this is the spot. Said, what? This is the spot? What do you mean this is the spot? There's no women, there are women here, but not the kind of women we're thinking of. And he sat there and he said, no, but it's a great spot here. So we were like, yeah, we'll just stay out here. You can go on ahead. So he went on in there. And it was like an hour, hour and a half, 2 hours. Didn't hear a word from him. So we got worried. We walked inside. We said, hey, we talked to the receptionist. Said, hey, have you heard of this person? They said, oh, yeah, they visit here all the time. We were like, oh, he must be visiting a family. So they said, oh, he's in this room. So we walked down to that room and opened the door, and lo and behold, our buddy is with a bunch of women. But the women are like 70, 80 years old, and not our cup of tea, and he's literally with them in there. And if you don't know what I'm meaning, you don't need to be watching this. He literally in there with them women, and We just closed the door, walked out, got the truck, drove off. They called us a couple hours later, said, "Where'd y'all go?" We said, "We gone. You find your own way home." After experiencing that food for thought. So there's your little story. And like always, it's a big red truck. And always like and subscribe. Hit that little bell button down at the bottom so that you can experience the life of a trucker with me. So have a good one, and I'll see you on the flip-flop.